Oh, why am I opening Outlook?
Now it is
Okay, I think we should
zoom out a little bit, sir.
Zoom out. Which one?
Camera, it's too close. Picture, your picture.
1 minute, 1 minute. But we'll go to one corner now, not a problem. So, I want to make a 2D mix. It becomes.
Now it's.
Okay. I think we should start.
The voice is very clear.
Okay, we'll start. Oh. Shuklambardaram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Dorbiryukta Chaturbir Spatikamaниmayi Makshamalam Dadana Haste Nekena Padmam Sitamapicha Shukam Pustakam Chaparena Bhasa Kundendu Shankas Patikamanibha Basamana Samana Same Vagdevateyam Nivasatu Vadane Sarvada Suprasanna Kujantam Ramarameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Rama Katanatham Konayati Param Gatim Goshpati Kritavarashim Mashaki Krita Rakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Nilatmajam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakāñjalim Bāshpavari Paripurnalochanam Marutim Namata Rakshasantakam Vaidehi Sahitam Suradrumatale Haime Mahamandape Madhye Pushpakamasane Manimaye Virasane Sustitam Agre Vachayati Prabhanjana Sute Tatvam Munibhya Param Vyakhyantam Bharatati Biparivritam Ramam Bhaje Shyamalam Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Devyai Chatasyai Janakatmajayai Namostu Rudrendra Yamanilebhyah Namostu Chandrarka Marudganebhyah Harihi Om. Okay, so last class we saw in the Samkshepa Ramayanam all the sargas related to Ayodhya Kandam. And this class we will see roughly, I am seeing 19 slokas roughly. That's what I am seeing. So this class we will see the slokas, the executive summary of Aranya Kandam. But before doing that, I just want to share a few thoughts which I thought would be of interest to us. I have been saying from the beginning that Ramayanam is a book of perfection. That is the charm of the two epics. One is how to lead the life. One is when you lead a life in a particular way, what will happen. So that's how Ramayana and Mahabharata are so nicely coming to that. So Ramayana is a book of perfection. I have been saying that from the beginning. Now, if you look at so many dimensions of perfection are there. How to lead a life, which we will see as we get into Ramayana, and we will really pick as many ideas that we would really come across. How to deal with others, how to deal with a father, how to deal with the mother. There is a lot you will see in Ayodhya Kanda actually. That's one place that we will see that. How to deal with brothers. I mean, here is such a nice epic in which the four brothers were never in competition. They were equally good. But how do brothers, live? How do they make their living? There are ways which are being so nicely, explained there. And in fact, how to be a wife also. In Aranya Kanda, there is a piece of advice which Sita gives to Rama. Sita says no. So it is not, there are so many nice dimensions which you see in actually Ramayana. When when the rishis came to Rama and says there is this too much of trouble going on, why don't you pick up all your astras and shastras and kill them? Sita comes in, intervenes. There are a couple of sargas. She says, don't do that. She was not keeping quiet. She had all the respect for her husband, but that doesn't mean the wife has to keep. Even those messages are there. She says, why you should not. Then she even narrates a story of something and says how the rishi, by keeping that shastra with him for a long time with him, he became a little more aggressive, like stories and all she says. Then Rama tells Sita, no, I will only use it when there is a need to destroy the evil. So that guarantee Rama gives after Sita has that conversation with Rama. So these kinds of how even a wife deals with the husband, all those. How do we deal with others? One is the family, society. How to deal with others? The way Rama handled Jatayu Marana, the way Rama handled Ravana's Marana, it's very interesting. The way he actually handled, there are some conversation that happens there. So like this, there are so many notion of perfection which we can take that lens and see it in Ramayana. That is why this is always called the book of perfection. Now, there is another interesting thing which is a little bit misunderstood today. I want to talk a little bit about that because one facet of that we will see in Aranya Kanda today. That's why I wanted to talk about it. How to develop a full-blown personality. Personality development is a big thing now. There are workshops happening. All that is happening. Personality is very important. So how to develop a full-blown personality? Now, to answer that, we need to ask, what do you actually mean by developing a personality in the first place? You see something very interesting. I want to do a preamble before we actually get into these short slokas. Although the story is not revealed, but I want to give a little preamble and so on. Now, if you look at what is personality, quite often people talk about type A and type B personality. Very commonly it is spoken about. Type A personality are people who are very aggressive, they're result oriented, very extroverted, they go-getters. These kind of, there are different variations of this description, but broadly. And type B personality is one which is talked about people who are very sober, very relaxed, not necessarily very aggressive. So, if you look at some of the discussion in personality now, you seem to see as though there are two positions. You have to take up one position or the other. You are either a type A personality, where you are very aggressive, you are a go-getter, you can go and get what needs to be done. And looks like we have our own psychic processes, so therefore we are a type A or a type B. This is the current treatment in psychology about the notion of personality and how to develop personality. But I will use the word personality and developing a character closely, because that is our perspective. Our perspective is, if you develop the your antaryami, if you develop your inner world well, the personality will develop. This is our approach. So I would analogously use these two. Developing a personality is more or less like saying developing an inner character, where this kind of typology will not fit very correctly. This typologies won't really map very nicely in it. We can see it for ourselves. So some of this Western approach and the research in personality are all taking these kinds of position. Of course, there are a few versions of that also. We are not really getting into it. There is another very popular understanding of, I would say, misconception rather. I would not attribute it to the current research, but somehow in the society it has happened. Personality is also in some ways understood as the way of your look and feel. How do you dress? This is also used. The word personality is used. Now, a very nice way to understand this is when Swami Vivekananda went for the Chicago address. It got delayed, it got postponed, all that happened. He ran out of money, all that happened. So he was the same cloth and going down and up the streets of US and so on. So apparently here is in some sense a strange looking person with a this kashaya and just going around. So this some apparently one American was pulling his hair or dress. And Swamiji's English is spectacular English. So apparently he replied in English. Then moment he said something in English, this American was able to carry a conversation with him. He said, "Why do you have such a personality?" So Swami Vivekananda asked, "What do you mean by that?" And I think the conversation pointed to the dress that he was wearing, which was dirty because of all these that has happened, so on. So apparently that time Swami Vivekananda said that, "Oh gentlemen, I did not know that tailors determine your personality in US." See how he put forth that point. He said, "I do not know that tailors indeed decide what is your personality. So in the way you dress, the kind of dress that you have." So that was a very pungent sort of a reply. But this is another misconception. Personality is also attributed to how do you look, how do you dress, and those kinds of things, looks and appearances, and so on and so forth. Whereas, if we look at our kind of understanding, as I said, personality is very closely related to the development of the inner world. This Vyaktitva Vikasa, which I keep saying again and again, it should blossom. Personality is something which must blossom. And blossoming of the personality is as good as saying that the strength of the inner character is fully there. That is our understanding of what personality is. Why am I bringing this? Is that's what I find one amongst many messages. One message I find in Aranya Kanda is Rama played a very different role in Aranya Kanda. And that if you bring it, then it actually throws a few dimensions. But before that, even in the first class, in the second class, when we looked at the first, when Narada was asked the question by Valmiki, is there a person with these 16 attributes? That kind of a question was asked. If you remember, there are two of them. One is called Jitakrodaha. One was overcome anger. But immediately in the next line, yes, Jata Roshasya Devasya Bibhyati. So it's a sort of a conflict in some ways. It may appear like that. Because on one hand, you say he has overcome anger. And the second time you're asking, when he is angry, even Devas will be afraid. So we have to now understand these two. Why is these two put side by side? This is exactly what I want to talk about, because this Jitakrodaha actually became the second part in Aranya Kanda. In Aranya Kanda, Rama was actually Jata Roshasya Bibhyati. That character was coming. He was furious. In fact, it was in many ways, it was a precursor to the final war. The war that Rama did in some ways in Aranya Kanda was like a trailer, and almost the Kara and Dushana, the war with Kara and Dushana is more or less of the near magnitude to the final war. That's what people comment on that. So here is Jitakrodaha who becomes Jata Roshaha. This is required in personality. Looks like two things which are in a traditional current thinking. We are putting it on two sides. We are now seeing it in one character. So I want to talk about, so what is developing a character? What is developing a personality? I want to talk. Because this brings me to that question. We will take this opportunity to understand that, and then let's get into the Aranya Kanda slokas that will put things in a little perspective. So in our scheme of things, developing character can happen only through spirituality. To me, it appears spirituality is the basic raw material for everything. To succeed in material life, we need to be very spiritual. To succeed in a job that we have taken and take it to logical completion, that's FQ must be the spiritual quotient must be fully there. So therefore, everything develops through spirituality. Now the question is, if somebody developed character through spirituality, how would that person be? How would he behave? So these are some of the things which will happen. In fact, most of these happen to Sri Rama and Ayodhya Kanda. This part is Ayodhya Kanda actually. First thing is capacity to withstand nonsense in life. Life has a lot of nonsense. Life does not throw nice things all the time. If we are coached like that, we are coached for something which is very not necessarily representative of reality. Life has ups and downs. So therefore, taking good things, we don't need any training, we don't need any major this thing. It is when things are not up to what we are looking at, from small things to bigger things. When things are not up to our whatever we are looking at, we are in trouble. If people are in trouble for that, then the character has not developed through spirituality. I mean, the most fickle part of it is my favorite example of saying 7 o'clock I did not get coffee. The coffee color is not this much brown. It is a little lighter. It did not have 322 grams of sugar crystal instead. I mean 322 crystals instead of it had 340 crystals. So I have to get upset. Can't we take even such simple things? I am giving simple examples, but there are many more examples. All that I am saying is life is goods and bads. That's like that. Life is always like that. So have we developed capacity to handle, not the good things, good things we know how to handle. We are talking about the other things. Have we developed the capacity to withstand nonsense in life, changes and chances in life? This is one. Beautifully it comes out in Ayodhya Kanda. Rama of course was blowing hot and cold. But although he was blowing hot and cold, he was coming back.
We should also, not just the bad things, we should also know how to handle good things also. I think gracefully.
Yes.
Both are true.
In fact, the favorite example I give, I certainly agree with you. I tell it in a very joking way, as you said. I think capacity to handle good things is also very important. Between the two, it may be slightly easier than the other one, perhaps. So the favorite example I give, which is a little exaggerated, but to drive the point I do that, is I say, if the going is very good today, for some people, youngsters particularly, just into work and a few years, the going is very good, then you drink so much and you get into hospital, by breaking your leg or, you are just gone out of your thing and then you are. The going is too bad, you anyway go to the hospital, but the department is different. Like that I used to say, but you are right. I think our capacity to handle both, but relatively this is much more challenging, perhaps.
Excitement in one direction will equally have an excitement in the other. If your personality is not balanced, one day if you are very excited about good things, then the excitement in the other is also probably.
Not necessarily, because there are quite a few people who are very, in fact, that's why Shankaracharya, perhaps, in Viveka Chudamani, I was quoting this. When he talked about Titiksha, definition he says is Sahanam Sarva Dukkanam. Sukha Dukkanam, he never said. He said Sahanam Sarva Dukkanam Apratikara Purvakam Chinta Vilaparagit. Chinta Vilapana will happen only when you have Dukkha. Nobody is very upset, I am very happy today. Why am I happy today? Nobody is upset. But why am I sad today? People are upset. So relatively, you are right, but relatively it can be a little more on this side. But certainly that point is there, ability to handle. So I think for a lot of people, that side seems to be a little more manageable. The sukha part of it. They may overdo, but it is more. Here they find it is much difficult to manage. Like that. Ability to go beyond the pulls of the physical, nervous, and psychic systems. See, as things happen out, it is the physical system and the nervous system which reacts. The motor skills are far more spontaneous than our ability to think through. So, can we develop that? Can we develop this ability to, go beyond the pulls of the physical and psychic and nervous systems and so on? That is a good development of personality. That's another thing. Ability to draw enormous energy from within. I think ultimately our strength is only with us. I mean, we may say, in a common parlance, man is a social animal, all that we are saying, they are all true. But when it comes to the crunch, finally, when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to make or break, it is not outside, it is inside. That ultimate thing is inside. Enormous energy is actually inside. These are all for lighter things. Real serious things, it actually has to come from within. So are we able to, nurture that and do that? That is another good expression of, and developing enormous clarity of thought and purpose of, see, when bad things hit us, when good things also hit us, but particularly when bad things hit us, that's the time, there are two possibilities we can take. One is to get into a downward spiral, blame everybody, then chinta vilapana, I did so many things. Why? That's one method. Another method is go back to an existential question. Who am I? Why have I come here? That will take us to another level. It will just take us to a slightly higher level. When we are in deep trouble, when you have a real, we are deeply hurt, when we have a severe going through a mental stress, it is very good to actually go and ask a very deep question rather than asking, you should first get out of that. If you are going around that, it is downward spiral, because we keep on thinking about it, and then this mind is so good in adding so many additional thoughts to it. A good rule of thumb, when you are in severe distress and agony and mental challenge, it's very useful to go back to a very fundamental question. Koham. Like that, we have to really go to that level. Who am I? Because it will distract you from this, because the inner wisdom will come. It will tell you this is bad. It will not acknowledge or not acknowledge that. It will acknowledge that, but it will take us to a slightly larger canvas. That is the only way we can actually handle things. So those kinds of clarity of thought comes always when we go to an existential question. We should give all our questions and go to that question. We have to ask very fundamental question. Something seriously happening in office, it challenges me. I think we should go through a challenge, but at one level, if we have to get out of it, the best way is to get it to a very existential level and think. These are good hallmarks of somebody who has developed character through spirituality. In Aranya Kandam, you will find Rama exhibited a lot of this. When we see it, we will see some of these. I think the undercurrent we will see. We will have to infer that. It's not being stated in black and white. But as we go through it, we will experience that this Vyakti called Rama went through all these. Then there is another way to look at how do you develop character. This is another way to look at. I have put pairs of words. I put it in different colors so that because the reason is, in many ways today, in our general understanding, we put these two on opposite camps. If somebody is gentle, generally that means you can do anything with him. You can push him. You can be aggressive onto him. The aggression and gentleness are put at two different camps. Okay, so strength. People think if somebody has strength, it means being aggressive. Dadagiri. I can bulldoze. I can throw my weight. I can shout higher than in a higher decibel than you, and so on. So that people certain attributes like that. Whereas gentleness means, although, you have talked so badly about me, I will be so gentle to not hurt you. So there are these set of attributes which are being told, but the way it is being described, it gives an impression, and that's a mental model many of us have, that this will be not with the same person. It will be two different persons. Somebody is gentle or somebody is strong. Whereas a person with true character will have both. Strength and gentle. That's why a Jita Krodha can become a Jata Rosha. He can become. It is technically possible that a person who has conquered Krodha will go to the heights of anger and finish off 14,000 Rakshasas and a whole battery of people, which is what happened in Aranya Kandam. It is possible because it is with the same person. So, strength and gentleness must coexist. They are not in opposite camps. It is in the same person. Great broad-mindedness develops along with intense faith and conviction. Faith and conviction is put on one camp. If somebody says, I have a lot of faith, then they think they are, old style. They are broad-minded. I don't know how we get this mental model. A lot of us suffer from this kind of a thinking. That faith is an old idea, it is not rational. There are so many words we use around it to characterize that model. Whereas faith and conviction actually gives strength in life. Again, when severe agony hits us, when greatest dukkha that happens in our lives, at times it can happen, it is our degree of faith, conviction, which is what will actually, in Panchadashi, Vidyaranya, Panchadashi, there is a nice shloka in which he says that the girl who has that, part on her head and may stand on a plate, typically they do it. So although she will be juggling with the plate and all that, her concentration is all the time on this. Ramasha Paramahamsa's parable, there is one in this thing he says that those days, he was relating to many of those. He says in small villages, this mother will take this small little boy. I have seen it in my village when I was growing. What they do, they will come and put a pole at the center. First, on a Sunday, they will come. They will put a thick pole at the center. They will have monkey also, and this small boy, this 3-year-old boy, 4-year-old boy, this mother will be there. There are 2-3 kids that feed. So this boy will do a lot of fancy tricks. Actually, it's a 1-hour show. But Ramasha Paramahamsa says, whatever this boy does, his one hand will be on that. He may go around that rod, that stamba. He will hold it and he will go rotate around and then do a lot of trick and entice you, but he will never leave it. If he leaves it, he knows he'll fall. That is called faith and conviction. We need one fixed point for us. Without a fixed datum, nothing is possible. That is faith and conviction. Broad-mindedness is our understanding of the world. As more and more we understand the world, we understand many things in life. So I don't think they should be in need not be in opposite camps. So great broad-mindedness must develop with intense faith and deep conviction on matters of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. This world is nothing but Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. All are nothing but Ishvara's manifestations. Man, universe and the God are all one. That conviction is very important. This is Shruti Pramana for us. This is what Shrutis have declared to us, and that is the greatest Pramana. Pratyaksha, Anumana, all those are later. This is where we cannot resolve with Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana and Arthapatti and all that. We have to go to Shruti Pramana. That's what is called deep Shraddha and conviction and all that. Then intense fearlessness and intense compassion must coexist. Again, generally people think he is very compassionate. First of all, fearlessness. Fearlessness today is a very different meaning. Most fearless people have the most Z security with them. There are so many people around them. Lal Bati. Everything is required for, and they, fearlessness is not all. Fearlessness is inside, not outside. To be fearless is nothing to do with how many bodyguards you have or what is happening and so on. And just since it is from inside, compassion is also from inside. So the source is the same. So both are possible. The same person can develop deep compassion, can develop intense fearlessness. What it means is when compassion has to, call the shot, you will be compassionate to the person. When it is adharma, it is intense fearlessness. I will finish you off. Tatakavada, a lady was killed by Rama. These Rakshasas were just massacred in hundreds and thousands. That time it is intense fearlessness. But Rama was very compassionate. How? When Jatayu died, Rama said, I will do the last rites. See, Jatayu is more than my father. That's called compassion. Until he killed Ravana, it was intense fearlessness. After he killed Ravana, Vibhishana said, I won't do the last rites. Rama said, I will do the last rites. Maranantam Vairi. After that, no. It's my responsibility. There the compassion came. Because this Vyakti needs to be proper. Because it is our samskara that a Vyakti must be properly consigned back to the Panchabhutas. Whatever is the method, it should be given back to this Prakriti Mata. So there he said, if you are not doing, I am going to do. So you will find all in one person. Some people may understand it as contradicting. It is not contradicting. That means it is fully blown. It has developed. That is the meaning of it. So that is why, in Upanishad also he says, Abhayam vai prapto si janaka, Yajnavalkya Janaka conversation. Finally he says, you have become truly fearless now. Janaka, you have become truly fearless. What it means is, you have got that clarity of thought. You can handle things in life. That is real fearlessness. Fearlessness is our ability to believe in the absolute truth and believe that everything is his work. So that gives us actually strength. That gives us that fearlessness. So he says, Abhayam vai prapto si janaka. That's what in Bhagavad Gita also in the 12th chapter it says, Esmatna udvijate lokaha. Lokatna udvijate teyaha. I am not afraid of the world. The world is not afraid of me. Either ways. I am not afraid of the world is fearlessness. The world is not afraid of me because I am also compassionate. If I am not compassionate, the world will be afraid of me if I am not compassionate. So it is the balance. It is a tight rope walking. In Rama, you will see all these, and a certain component of this fired in Aranya Kanda. Aranya Kanda is where all these fired in a very different way. He was he showed his strength, he showed his fearlessness, massively massacred Rakshasas and so on. That what happened in Aranya Kanda in those 55 sargas or whatever. Aranya Kanda, so today we are going to see Aranya Kanda in sort of summary. Since it is going to take more time, I will broadly. Aranya Kanda, when we read the stories, of course, Valmiki is narrating stories, but there are undercurrent of messages. So I am talking about the messages, not the story. Story most of us know. I am talking about the undercurrent. So the undercurrents are the following. Aranya Kanda says the world has wicked people and good people. This is the first message. The world is full of both varieties. And the whole bandwidth is there. From one end of the 0 to 1, there is a complete spectrum available in between. World is world of wicked people and good people. This is one undercurrent message that you will see in Aranya Kanda. That's what you will actually see through when you see what Rama has gone through and what he did and so on and so forth. The Aranya Kanda also reminds good people. It is not important that people are good. They must have the vitality to protect the good. This is another message which comes through Aranya Kanda. It's an undercurrent. It is very important. There are so many rishis, so many Rakshasas in Aranya Kanda. Their job was to chase the rishis, harass them, kill them, eat them. These are all described. So what is it saying? It's saying it is not only important you are good. You must have an ecosystem of where the goodness is also protected. You need that vitality in a society which is able to protect the good. Otherwise, it is a free walk for the Rakshasas, which is what they were doing. Rama came and then sorted out all of them in a big way. He did that in Aranya Kandam. So Rakshasas were making lots of trouble that you will see in great measure in Aranya Kanda. Harm them, kill them, eat them, and so on. And in the same Aranya Kanda, when Rama was taking Lakshmana and Sita to Agastya's ashram, he narrated the story because that story is the climax to this. That story said Agastya is a person who is not only good, he had the vitality, he finished off this Vatapi and Ilvala, there are two of them. So that story says that goodness must also be protected. And you need the vitality of that, which Agastya demonstrated. Vatapi was creating so much trouble, he gobbled him and finished him off. That story Rama says to Sita as they were walking towards the, they're searching for they went to Agastya's brother first. And from there they go to Agastya's hermitage. So that time this story shows Agastya had that. Whereas the other rishis unfortunately did not have it in the Aranya Kanda. There are very interesting characters which are introduced in Aranya Kanda. Of course, Agastya. I talked about, Agastya shortly. Then this game-changing character called Surpanaka. Because the entire Ramayana, everything is plotted there. The entire, so Kaikeyi plotted the part 1, I must say, and Surpanaka plotted the second. So that character you will find there, and it actually, it's a turning point in the story, and so on. Of course, this great character called Jatayu. Jatayu is so beautifully described. How this Jatayu tells to Ravana, when Jatayu actually stopped Ravana when he was carrying Sita, then Jatayu said, Ravana said, I have 10,000 years, 1,000 year, one head I offered in sacrifice. Jatayu laughed at him. He said, I am 60,000 years old. You are a kid in front of me. Jatayu said like that. I am 60,000 years old. I am like your grandfather, great-grandfather. Don't do all that. Leave Sita and go. For that he was saying, I am much wiser than you. And 60,000, 20,000 is coming to tell, I am much wiser than you, understand. And he was very adamant and he said, you can't. I will not allow you. Then he cuts. Ravana cuts Jatayu and fells him on the ground. Such a great character. Words of wisdom. And Jatayu holds on its breath until it met Rama and passed this very important message. So this nice character called Jatayu, which you find in Aranya Kanda. And Rama's approach to Jatayu, the Antim Samskara and all that, comes towards the end of the Aranya Kanda actually. Then comes one of these all-time great character called Sabari. In fact, the end of Aranya Kanda is Sabari Darshana. Sabari for years and years waiting to have darshan of Rama. And Kabandaka, when he was killed, Kabanda said, go and see Sabari. There is one lady waiting for you. Please go and see. And there's a nice description of Sabari. It was almost at the end of Aranya Kanda. With that, the Aranya Kanda ends. But very nice description of a person whose love is unbounded, who was beyond measure. Rama was melted when he met Sabari. Sabari said, I know one day I will see you, so I have been preserving fruits for you for so much time. I want to give that to you. There's that much of Vasalya, that much of pure love, absolute spirituality, all that character, Sabari. Of course, dozens and dozens of Rakshasas, most important Kara and Dushana, Maricha, and Kabanda. All these were part of Aranya Kanda. And the undercurrent story in Aranya Kanda is that Rama claimed Rama was a very different character in Aranya Kanda. He was not that Jitakrodaha. He was a Jatarosha. He said, I will not leave it. I will sort it out. All those. It clearly shows that a Kshatriya, there is a role of a Kshatriya. The role of a Kshatriya is to ensure that when goodness has to be established, the Kshatriya cannot be found wanting even by a small measure. That's why when Sita said, don't do it, there's a bit of a conversation. He says, no, it's not like that. So this almighty power of the Kshatriya comes in Aranya Kanda. He shows that role that he has to play. That's another nice undercurrent that we will see. And of course, the Aranya Kanda also shows wickedness can have several varieties. Because all those are part of it. Because we see it in the life. Wickedness has so many varieties. For example, there can be wickedness on account of mere physical strength and money power. Actually. So, Surpanaka and all these Rakshasas, many of them come into that category, which is one kind of wickedness. Wickedness can be through strong tapas. Because Ravana was introduced in Ramayana only there. Ravana comes only there, not before. So that is another kind of wickedness. Thank you. There is another kind of wickedness which you see, which comes out of tapas, which we saw it in the first two sessions in great detail. We saw how this whole Ravana as a character morphed from so much of strength to its own self-destruction. In the second class we saw it in detail. Wickedness can also be on account of pressure, social conditions, and others are trying to put pressure, because the Maricha of Aranya Kanda is not the Maricha of Ayodhya Kanda. In Aranya Kanda, he was a very reformed person. He wanted to, in fact, he said so much of counseling to Ravana that don't do that. But he finally had to succumb to the societal pressure, the pressure of his Maricha was Ravana's uncle. He succumbed to that pressure. So wickedness can happen out of that dimension. These three dimensions we actually see in Aranya Kanda. So these are the things that happen in Aranya Kanda. So what we will do today is, in Samkshepa Ramayana, we'll see what are those 19 slokas which Valmiki has set up in the first sarga. We'll see that. So if you remember, at the end of the Ayodhya Kanda, Bharata took the Padukas, he asked them to go. After they left, there are two sargas. After they left, Rama sits and thinks. He says, this is not the place to be. They have now found out my place now. So people will start coming again and again because of their love for Rama. So Rama says, this is not the place that we have to be. That's when they decided that we'll have to go out. So Aranya Kanda, that's the first thing it is saying. It says, Gate tu bharate shriman satyasandaha jitendriyaha Ramastu punaralakshya nagarasya janasya cha tatra agamanam ekagraha dandakan praviveshaha. So what is happening here? The first line says, Bharataha Shriman Satyasandaha Jitendriyaha. All are in Prathama Bhakti. All of them are adjective to Bharata. Bharata is Jitendriya. Bharata is Satyasandha. Bharata is Shriman. Literally he is a Shriman because he is now the head of the country. So literally he is a Shriman now. Even if you want to take it like that. Gate. He has gone. He has sent him giving his Paduka and so on. After he has gone, what happened? Rama Dandakan Praviveshaha. He got into the Dandakaranya forest. Now the question is why? So I jumped from Ramaha to Dandakan Praviveshaha. In between is the reason. So the reason says, Nagarasya Janasya Punaha Alakshya Tatra Agamanam Alakshya Punaha Alakshya. No, is thinking that these Nagara people will come again and again here because they know they have now found out my place now. Lakshi Kritya, thinking about that, right? Ekagraha, he was single pointedly focused only on this concern. That now that they have found out my place, so now that they have found out the place, they will say, no, I cannot be without seeing Rama. Then Kaikeyi will come on 15th of April. Then 30th of April, Kausalya will come. Then, 2nd May, somebody will come. This is not going to work. It is not a good thing. So, therefore, he decided to cross over. He decided to go to Dandakaranya. So, that's how it starts, the slokas. Pravishya, Sarvam Lep. You see, so much of Lep. The Twanta and, Lep, all that is a 10 days spoken Sanskrit is full of that. Pravishya, Gatwa, Pravishya, having entered. Because there is Upasarga, there is become Lep. Yes, come. Pravishya, having entered. Pravishya tu Maharanyam Ramaha Rajiva Lochanaha Viradam Rakshasam Hatva. So at the entry itself, he has to kill first somebody. As soon as he entered, he first killed Virada. Virada was finished first. He was coming on the way. And because they are so much used to creating trouble there. This was what was happening in that Vana. So when Rama and Sita and Lakshmana went, so Virada came and said, here is one more character, let us, eat them up. That's how it starts. Hatwa. Hatwa is again Twantap, having killed, having entered, pravishya, hatva, having killed. That's all descriptive, Sharabangam Dadarshaha. He met the first Rishi, Sharabanga. Sharabangam Dadarshaha, Sudikshnam. Cha, Api Agastyam Cha, Agastya Bhrataram Tata. So 4 characters are mentioned here. Agastya's brother, Agastya, Sutikshnaha, and Sharabanga. All these 4. It runs about 20 sargas. It's all written in just one shloka. But Kramena te gachanti. So anyway, he met all these rishis, which are all meant here. Agastya Vachanachaiva Jagrahendram Sharasanam Kadgam cha Paramapritaha Tuni cha Akshaya Sayakau. So Agastya Vachanat, in Sandhi it has become cha, ich, cha and all that. Agastya Vachanat Chayeva Jagraha. Jagraha is took. He took. He received. Okay, Jagraha. What? Aindram, which is Indras. That which is Indras. Indras what? Sharasanam. Shastras. Kadgam. The sword. Okay, arrow. And Paramaprita is for that. Tuni, which is that quiver, and that had what? It had a specialty. Unending arrows. Akshaya Sayakau. Tuni Akshaya Sayakau. That's a Dvivachana. The quiver, which has arrows, as he keeps on taking arrows, it is Akshaya. Endless. He needed so much for 14,000 people to be killed. That's why all these are given by Indra. So all that he received from Agastya. Indra gave to Agastya and said, Rama will come, you please give it. So he actually takes it. Actually, it is Parshurama's, there is a route. It goes round and comes. Actually, that's what the story says. Vasatastasya Ramasya Vane Vanacharai Saha Rishayobhyagama Gaman Sarve Vadhaya Sura Rakshasam. Vasataha, the person who was living there, Vasataha, Ramasya Tasya. So the Rama and all those people are living there in the forest. Tasya Ramasya, Vane Vasataha Tasya Ramasya. These people are living in the forest. Vanacharehi Saha, those who are all the forest dwellers, Saha, Tena Saha, along with them. Rishayaha, all the rishis. Abhyagama, they came along. Abhyagaman, Sarve Abhyagaman. They all came. Vanasarehi Saha Abhyagaman. So all the rishis along with the other forest dwellers came to these people. Who are these people? Rama, Sita and Lakshmana living there. And then what they said? Vadhaya Asura Rakshasam. Please kill Asuras and Rakshasas. It's a executive summary. That's why it is written in so much conciseness. Particularly what he was saying was, there is so much of trouble these fellows are making. Please protect us from that. This is just too much going on. Please help us and protect us. That's what those people came and actually told Rama. This is where actually Sita intervenes. Rama agrees. Sita, that's the time when Sita intervenes actually. There's one sarga where it happens. Satesham Pratisushrava Rakshasanam Tatavane Pradignatascha Ramena Vadam Samyati Rakshasam Vadaha Samyati Rakshasam Rishinam Agnikalpanam Dandakaranya Vasinam. So Tesham Pratisushrava, he listened to him. He agreed to what he said actually. Pradignam Prajignascha Ramena. Rama gave a promise, but Vadaha Samyati Rakshasam. So, completely I will finish off all the Rakshasas. Rakshasanam Tata Vane, Pratisushrava, Rakshasam Vadam Samyati. That's what he says. And Rishinam Agni Kalpanam Dandakaranya Vasanam. He said all this. I mean, he promised to them to all these people that don't worry, I will. He gave the pratigna. He took the vow and told them that I will. But this is when Sita came. That's why I brought that sloka from Aranya Kandam actually, from that sarga. Sita was trying to say, no, don't do this large scale violence. Don't take your shastra and all that. There's some conversation which is going on. Then this is what he says. What he says is just see, Apyaham jivitam jahyam twamba site salakshmanam. He says, I can lose myself, I can lose you, I can lose Lakshmana also. Natu pradignyam samshrutya brahmanebhyo viseshataha. But I will not give up that pradignya which I have given to these Brahmins. This Vishesha pratignya that I have given, I will not. That's what he actually, at the end of the conversation, he says all this. So that's what happens. So he said, I will do it. Now you see a Rama who is not Jita Krodha. He was nothing but Krodha. Because with that kind of ferociousness only he could do that act. He became a true Kshatriya. He understood that, so much of nonsense is going on, it has to be sorted out. I cannot keep quiet. This is something which Arjuna had a difficulty in Mahabharata. You look at the contrast of these stories. This is a similar kind of a situation in Mahabharata. The head of the country is unethical. He violates contract. He did not do what he agreed. He does all mischief. He does manabhanga. He doesn't give respect to ladies. Doesn't give respect to elders. What more you need? Yet he had a difficulty. He couldn't because he saw Bhishma and Drona. Some reasons were there. This is what happened there. You will see in both the epics, you will actually have contrasting things. Here you will see a Vibhishana who was all along with his brother, parts his ways. Whereas there, Bhishma refused to part his ways, so he collapsed finally. In front of Dharma, nobody can stand. Vibhishana all along was with his brother, but he said, I am going away. And Bhishma all along I was with you, therefore I am with you, he said. So he got destroyed. So both the ethic you will actually see very contrasting things. That's why both the ethics are very important. Epics are very important for us. Because together that tells us so many things about life. So Arjuna had a bit of a difficulty. Here Rama, who is such a soft nature, can do anything, becomes ferocious now. Because that is the spiritual character which I was talking about. Gentleness and strength will coexist. When you have to be gentle, you will be gentle. When strength is required, full blown, the strength will manifest for the right reason. That's what you see. Tena tatraiva vasata janasthana nivasini virupita shurpanaka rakshasi kamarupini. He says Tena. Tena is not by Rama, actually by Lakshmana. You have to understand it like that. Because Tena here, by default, it should actually, because Rama is being told. So this Tena must automatically, by him, must go to Rama. Story is not that. Anyway. Tatreva vasata, one who was living there, where Janasthana, in the Janasthana apparently was the parking lot of the huge army of Ravana. Military, there are some base, camps and Wellington and all these. So it is one cantonment. Basically, it was a huge cantonment for Ravana, apparently, Janasthana. So Rama first cleaned that before going there. That's what it is. That's why 14,000 Rakshasas were there and so on. All those are part of it. So Janasthana Nivasini, Surpanaka, see Surpanaka. Her Naka is like that. Shurpa, I don't know what they say in English, I don't know what they say. This is for cleaning the grains, na? There is this. Whatever. So her Naka was so big. I mean, she was looking so demonish. So it's called Shurpa Naka. Esyaha Naka Shurpa Iva. Sa Shurpa Naka. So that is Shurpa Naka. Actually, all these are adjectives. Her name may be something else. Should be her adjective actually. Shurpanaka actually. So Janasthana Nivasini Shurpanaka Virupita, not Surupita, Virupita, because her nose was cut. She was deformed. her nose was cut. Virupita Kamarupini Rakshasi, because she did all mischief with these two people without knowing what. This is the wickedness coming out of the thinking I have power, position, army behind me. It's that kind of wickedness, foolish wickedness. It's a foolish politician variety. She paid a price, not only for her. She laid a siege for the entire Rakshasas, including Ravana and Kumbhakarna and all that. She laid the siege in some ways. So that's what it is. Tata Shurpanaka Vakyad Udyuktan Sarva Rakshasan Karam Trishirasam Chaiva Dushanam Chaiva Rakshasam Vijagana Vane Ramaha Tesham Chaiva Padanugan. So Tataha from that, out of that, so Panchami, so from that or out of that, out of that meaning Shurpanaka went to Kara and Dushana and said, this is what has happened, and are you all worthy of, she really pumps them up. Are you worthy of warriors? What is happening? Two fellows have done this. All that she goes and says. Vakyat, out of that, whatever she said, Tataha Vakyat, Udyuktan, Sarvan, all these people are now worked up. Udyuktan, Sarvan, Rakshasan, all these Rakshasa, who are they? Karam, Rakshasan, Udyuktan. So I think we have to put a full stop there. All these Rakshasas were worked up. That's what first line is saying. Second and third line says Rama finished all of them. That's what the second and third line says. It says Vijagana. He killed them. Whom? Karam. All these are in Ditya Bhakti. So karma. All those are in Ditya Bhakti. Karam, Trishirasam, Dushanam, Chaiva Rakshasam, Chaiva Padanugan. All those who followed them, footsteps. All of them Vijagana. Ramaha Tesham Vijagana. So, all these people, he finished, is what the next two lines say. So, all these people were destroyed, all these important people were killed. So, now Surpanaka could not take this, then she went there. From here she ran there. That's what happened actually. Actually, this Ditya Vibhakti, where will it come? I don't know. Because I don't think Tesham Padanugan Nijagana, Vane Tesham Nijagana, that is over. I don't know. Karam Trishiram Chaiva Dushanam Chaiva Rakshasam Chaiva Padanugan. I don't know why there is a Ditya Vibhakti there. You will be able to find out. I don't know. I don't know why there is a Ditya Vibhakti there. No, Tesham Vijagana, na? Tesham Vijagana. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway. But Vijagana must be for all these Ditya Bhakti. So Tesham, where will it come? Tesham, no, Padanugan is Ditya Bahuvachana. Tesham is? Oh, Tesham Padanugan. Their followers. Correct. Their followers. Tesham Padanugan. All their followers also he killed. Correct. Vane tasmin nivasata janasthana nivasinam rakshasam nihatan yasan sahasrani chaturdasha. So it doesn't stop with that. Then it got into the others who are in the forest. Vane tasmin nivasata janasthana nivasinam rakshasam nihatan yasan asan sahasrani chaturdasha. 14,000 other people who are all these Rakshasas who are living there, they were also killed. All those are also, Rama killed all of them. Tataha. So now Surpanaka is alone now. All her strength is locally gone. Because Kara, Dushana, Vidura, everybody is gone. Vidushana, everybody is gone. 14,000 army is destroyed. So now she goes there. That's what the next sloka says. Tataha Jnati Vadam Shutva. So Jnati is family people, na? So he goes and tells, because it's executive summary, the details are not there. Directly it jumps to Ravana. Jnati vadam shutva Ravanaha krodamurchitaha. Was very angry. He really got very angry. Krodamurchitaha. Okay. Sahayam varayamasa Maricham nama Rakshasam. So he decided to come directly. And she did a very intelligent thing. She downplayed these 14,000 people killing. She said that. But what she actually said is, there is a beautiful lady there. This is what will bring Ravana. What she did, Shurpanaka, she talked about all people being killed. But she talked about Sita. So Ravana very silently thought for, the story goes, Ravana thought for a while, because his weakness, that was his end, no, finally. In Uttarakanda, there is so much. In, Yuddhakanda and Uttarakanda, there are references of how this fellow got into. We saw it in the second class or third class. I showed a little bit of that. So he silently took the thing with the, charioteer and went away. That is what the story says. Because he was attracted by this description of the lady. That's what happened. So he went away. Went and then he found his end finally anyway. So Sahayam Varayama. So he then plotted with Maricha. All those are written in the executive summary here. Sahayam Varayamasa Maricham Nama Rakshasam. He called and Maricha, please help me. I want to take this lady and go away. Varyamanaha Su Bahushaha Marichena Saravanaha. Varam Varam Bahuvaram. Many times Maricha said, don't do it. It's not a good thing. Varayamasa, he tried to avoid him. He says, don't get into this act. You don't know what is Rama. I have experienced it. You don't know. Don't do that. It is not good. Varayamasa. He said, Bahushaha Marichena. So, but Ravana was not ready. Na virodaha balavata kshamaha ravanetena taye. Keep patience. Don't get into, become his foe, because you don't know what it means. Like that, again, he tried to explain, trying to convince him, don't play with Rama, you don't know what for you are playing with, but he was not willing to listen to it. That's what it says. Anadritya, he turaskritya. All that he said, he did not listen to. So much Marija counseled him. I was even mentioning one story. I said, how if a snake gets into a lake, freshwater lake, if you have to take the snake out of the freshwater lake, 1,000 good fishes will also die. All these examples Maricha gives. You will destroy your whole clan. Don't do that. You don't know what you are getting into. He wouldn't listen. All that happened. There are two sargas in which this discussion happens. Anadrityatu tad vakyam Ravanaha kala chodita, because he was kala chodita. The kala has actually walked him into the trap already. That is why he didn't listen to him. Vinasha kale viparita buddhihi. So, he walked into the trap. The kala has entered. The time has come. Yama has come into him, into his brain. Actually, kala chodita hai. Jagama saha maricha. He went along with Maricha. Jagama. Maricha hai. Tasya ashrama padam tada. Where they set up their Parnashala and they were there. He went there. We know the story. It is only a sort of a summary here. Tena Mayavina Duram Apavahya Dripatmajau. So these Mayavi Maricha took both the brothers, the Dvivachana, both the king, princess, the son of the king. That's what the word is being used. Dripatmajau. Okay, princess. Both the princesses were taken far away. That's what the first line says. Jahara Bharyam Ramasya Gridram Hatva Jatayusham. Jahara, he took her away. Ramasya Bharyam, which is Sita, and en route he had to also fight Gridraha, which is the king eagle, no? Jatayu. Jatayusham Hatva. So Ravana, fell the, Jatayu also took Sita and went away. Gridram cha nihatam drishtva hritam shutva cha maithilim Raghava shoka santaptaha vilalapa akulendriyaha. Vilalapa akulendriyaha. Grudram cha nihatam drishtva. They saw this great king of the birds fell on the ground. Drishtva, having seen it. Again, Twanta, Drishtva. Shrutva, having heard. Cha Maithilim. Maithilim Vishayam. Maithilim meaning what happened to Sita. That what Jatayu told, no? So, Shrutva, Drishtva, Twanta Prayogas. So many Twanta Prayogas. You'll find a lot of them. Okay? Maithilim. Raghava Shoka Santaptaha. He was deeply in Shoka. He was scorched deeply by Shoka. Shoka Samyak Taptaha Santaptaha. Shoka Santaptaha. So he was in great grief. Okay? Vilalapa Kulendriya. His Indriyas are all became shiningless. Vilalapa. He got into real dukkha on hearing all these from because his dukkha is of two variety. One is that Sita is Apaharanam. Second is such a nice personality fought for the cause of Sita, and in some way we have become a cause of death for that also. That is another thing. So it really heavily, you weighed on him. That is what happens. Tatasteneva shokena gridram dagdva jatayusham dagdva daganakaryam kritva. Having done the final rites of Jatayu, again Twanta Prayoga, right? Tataha tena eva shokena, out of all grief, still he felt this is my karya. That's why that shloka I brought from Aranya Kandam. Look at that shloka. Look at such a nice shloka. It says, Raja Dasharataha Shriman Yata Mama Mahayashaha Pujaniyascha Manyascha Tata Ayam Patageshwaraha. Just like my father, who is worthy of worship. Look at the value that this character called Rama is displaying. This is what Rama is all about. Rama says that just like my father, how important is my father, that important is this Jatayu also. So let me do the Antim Karya for this Jatayu. This is a very high value. This is a moral high ground. Rama is full of these values. At one stage, one situation, he will say something that would be the most fitting. He said, look at the choice of words. Raja Dasharadaha Shriman Mahayashaha Pujaniyascha Manyascha Yata. Just like that. Tata. I am Patageshwaraha. This great, Ishwara of the Pataga, Lord of all these bird kingdom, is as like my father. So I will now do the last rites. I will do what needs to be done for this Jatayu before I go. This is this embodiment of Rama throughout you will find. Ravana could have been killed. He said, go and come tomorrow. Because I want you on a fair ground, I want to fight you. Go and come tomorrow. That night it is all Vilapana. He remembers all the, curses he received, Ravana. Part of it is in Uttarakhanda, some of them is in Yuddhakanda. He said, what are all the mischief I did? All that comes to him that night. It will come back to him, no? All that happened that night. But Rama said, come tomorrow. I will not kill you now. You need extraordinary character to do these things. It's not easy. We need extraordinary character to do this. That's why again and again say Sita showed so much character in Sundarakanda. When Hanuman said, I will take you, she said, no. She is suffering. That's a different story. She is suffering the worst nightmare that a lady can ever. But when it came to it, she said, no. Fourth reason she said, Yata Rama comes here and does, Tata Tasya Bhavati. It should happen the way it is befitting to Rama. That is why I am telling you. It's not for any other thing. So she must have had inner strength to put up with all these nonsense. So much of nonsense she went through. Yet she had the character to say nothing. Let Rama come. That is the way it has to happen. So every character in Ramayana shines like that. It shows how you have to have values and how you cannot have chapala in life. See, ordinary people, some chapala will happen in life. Oh, this is okay. This small deviation I will do. That is okay. All along I will talk about corruption, but when I come to my driving license, I will pay 1,000 rupees. Once in my life, what is there? It's called chapala, na? You will not find any of the character like that. Mahatma Gandhi did not, his son was at the verge of death. There was one of his son at the verge of his death. Mahatma Gandhi said, I will not give non-veg. Sorry. You need extraordinary courage and strength to say that. To surrender, you need extraordinary courage. Surrender is not easy. It is, in English, I find they use meekly surrender. Meekly and all, you cannot surrender. Your Atma Vishwasa will not allow you, your ego will not allow you. If you surrender, there is a strength that has come from somewhere for some reason. For surrender, you need strength. To, withhold this chapala, temptations in life, you need strength. So you will find every character in Ramayana is embodiment of strength, ultimate strength. That's what you will find. In every character, as you find, you will actually, these are the undercurrents you will find in Ramayana. So he says, he is like my father. He is such a great personality, I can't do anything just like that and go. That's what he says here. So he says, Dagdva Jatayusham, did the Antim Kriya for Jatayu. Margamanaha Vane Sitam Rakshasam Sandadarshaha. So he was continuing his search for Sita, and as he was continuing his search for Sita, he found the last Rakshasa to be killed in the Aranya Kanda, who is Kabanda. He is the last. Kabandan Nama Rupena, Vikritam Ghora Darshanam. There is a big story behind it. He is without a head and it's a very strange kind of a character. Indra cut is something and his leg is somewhere. I mean, you describe it itself, it is scary actually. So that kind of a Rakshasa, there is a story behind it. So he met that. Ghora Darshanam, Vikritam. He is completely deformed in a very different way actually. Right? Vikritam Rupena, Kabandan Nama. So he saw that last Rakshasa called Kabanda as Jatayu's Antim Kriya was done and he was moving. Tam Nihatya, again, Lebanta here. Having killed him, Tam Nihatya, having killed him, Mahabahuhu, Dadaha, and he also consigned him to the flames. After killing him, he consigned him to the flames and then he got his original rupa. That stories are all there. Okay. Swargatascha Saha. He went to Swarga because he came from there. There's a story behind how he was coming here and so on. Anyway, he consigned him to the flames and Swargatascha Saha. Sacha Asya Katayamasa. Before that Kabanda died, he told him, there is one Sabari, go and see. Please go and see. There is one Sabara community, there is one elderly lady, Sabari. She is waiting for you. Please go and see Sabari Mata. Kabanda only told. So, he says, Sacha Asya Katayamasa. He was telling him, it's a present continuous, Katayamasa. Shabarim Dharmacharinim Shrimanim Dharma Nipunam Abhigacha iti Raghava. He says, please go there. It's Hey Raghava Sambodhana. Hey Raghava, go there. There is this great lady called Shabari. She is years waiting for you. Please go and see her. So that's what Kabanda only told that. So, when good things happen, this is another undercurrent that you see in all epics, in Puranas also you will see. If a good thing has to happen in life, Nishkarmya, Loka Sangraha, Dharma Samstapana, something which will benefit a lot of people. I have also seen in small little way by myself, the help will come along the way. It will be a baton which will be passed in steps. See, I must tell you, I met one doctor, Dr. Balasubramaniam, Swami Vivekananda Yuva near Mysore. So I spent one full day with him about 10 years back. When Ramakrishna Swamiji invited both of us, 6 medical college students came to my house, 10 years back. 6 young medical college students, they were all doctors in the final year. They didn't ask are you in town and so on. One day morning, they landed in my house here. 6 of them. Then they described, they were very inspired when they were talking to me. They said, sir, we are in the final year of our medical education, but we have a Swami Vivekananda circle in, I think this was in, what is this place? Hubli, Dharwad. That's a twin city, na? So somewhere there, Dharwad, I think. So I was very impressed by, first of all, they came and then they said, sir, we are doing, the Swamiji is helping us, Ramakrishna Swamiji there is helping us. We are doing a one-day program, sir, why don't you come? All that they said. I really, on seeing them, and I said, I will come. It was a little difficult for me to manage, but it was so good to see these youngsters. I said, I will come. That day, that person had come. That other person was Dr. R. Balasubramanian. So I was talking to him. When I was talking to him, he said something which was very, very interesting for me. See, he wanted to study engineering. His marks were less. Look at how fate takes people. His mark was a little less than what he ought to have probably got a good college or something. He must be 54, 55 now. So what I am talking is about 30 years back. Because that time number of colleges is less. That's why I have to give you this time scale also. So he was very upset. Bangalore. And then he didn't know what to do. He was very gloomy. Then he went to Ramakrishna Mutt in Srinagar. So every day he said, I was just going there and reading. I didn't know what to do. I will just go there. I will sit. So when Swamiji will see me sitting there, he will take me to lunch. Come, why don't you have lunch? You are sitting with. He said about 2 weeks I was reading there all these Vivekananda literature and so on. He said, I want to become a doctor now. How it all transformed in about 2 weeks. And then he got his medical and all that story, all that. Now the point is, he went to a tribal place and he said, let me do seva. Now he was putting up a big building. Asked him, where is this money coming from? Where is this money for you? You are sitting in, so he was telling me, he said, he said, initially I was very tensed up. Perhaps because I was too young, I have not had my life's understanding of what it is. Construction has started. Now, construction workers, you better pay them on Saturday. You can't tell them, this is a great cause, you go empty stomach, let your children starve. Nobody can say that. You have your spirituality. That spirituality is that choice. After all, you have to make a living. Vivekananda says, first fill your stomach, then you'll talk about spirituality and so on. He said, I had real tense moments in my life because this Friday I don't have money. How do I am going to pay for this on Saturday? I have to pay because there is no way I can tell them it's a great cause if you don't. He told me, so after so many years, the only experience I have now is, now I have Shraddha. I have faith. If the cause is good, things will happen. And he says it comes. It comes, that's all. How it comes and all, I have got that courage now. Pure work happens like that. Pure work, there is one Narayanan Krishnan who in a CNN. I brought him to IIM Bangalore. And APGP students, some of our students asked them, what is your daily? He said, I am feeding 450 people 3 times a day. 1 lakh per day is the expenditure. So one student asked, if you don't get your 1 lakh, what will you do? 365 lakhs is a good outlay. You are a chef in Tata, Taj Western here. Something happened in your life which altered your complete thinking. You started cooking and then you are now serving 450 destitutes. 1 lakh per day, where will you get? What will you do? Will you increase your marketing effort? We know the jargon. So he asked all that question. You know what he replied? This only reconfirmed. He effortlessly gave an answer. He said, if 1 lakh per day is not coming, he said, I'll go back to the drawing board. There is something fundamentally wrong that I am doing. He never put blame on the goodness of people or world has become too miserly. Nothing he said. He said, if 1 lakh per day is not coming, what I am doing, maybe there is something fundamentally wrong. People who have evolved and who have experience of that life only can do all that. So what I am saying is, throughout Ramayana, after Sita was lost, it was a battle which is being passed. Because some great good is going to happen. This journey is for what? Not for bringing Sita back. That is a side story. This is yata hi dharmasya glanir bhavati abhyutanam adharmasya tada atmanam srijamyam. Story is this. There is so much of nonsense going on. You have to re-establish dharma. That's why Rama has come. The side story is Sita. Honestly speaking. That's why he said Agni Pravesha. So throughout help will happen. You will see so beautifully. It starts ever since he lost Sita up to Kishkinda Kanda where Hanuman comes. We should get reassured about life and all these, seeing all these. That is why Ramayana is required. If our intention is good, if we do something which is dharmic, which is for loka sangraha, which is naishkarmya karma, somebody will help. What is this ahankara I am going to do? We will defeat ourselves. We start with that premise. That is the story. That is another message that we have to take. So, how the baton is passing. You should see what Sutikshna did. You see what, Sarabanga did. Then he pointed to, Agastya's brother. Then Agastya's brother pointed to Agastya. Agastya had all these Indra's, military equipments ready for him. Then Shurpana showed hand. She showed a very important hand, actually speaking. That's how it is going. The story, that is another undercurrent we have to understand. All good things will never go. Na kalyana kaschit kalyana krit durgatim tata gachiti, Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. Good things will never perish. You don't have to see the result immediately. Don't become impatient. Have Shraddha. Keep doing good things, period. Don't even put a comma there. Put a full stop. Krishna is saying, Na kaschit kalyana krit durgatim tata gachati. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. Keep doing good. It will find its way. And all Bhagavad Sankalpa which will happen. So that is what is happening here. So Kabanta says, go and see Shabari. That's what is happening here. Sobhyagachan Mahatejaha Shabarim Shatrusudanaha Shabarya Pujitaha Samyak Ramo Dasharatadmajaha Saha Abhyagachan Mahatejaha Shatrusudanaha. All these are adjective for him. Shatrusudanaha Mahatejaha. All these are for Rama. Saha Abhyagachan. So he went forward, Abhigachan to Shabari, reached her, basically. That's first line. First line ends there. Shabarya Pujitaha Samyak Ramaha. Shabari worshipped Rama very well. It's a very nice story. That one or two sargas, I think, very nice. Fitting into Aranya Kanda is this great lady who talks about deep devotion, which can Nakaschit Kalyana Durgatim Tata Gajati. Shabari is another example. She is waiting and waiting and waiting, and Rama comes, and she is, has her liberation, actually. So that is what it is. Shabarya Pujitaha Samyak Ramaha Dasharatatmajaha. That is again the. Actually, with this Aranya Kanda ends. I don't think we have. Yeah, that is what it is. So Aranya Kanda shows a very. Ayodhya Kanda showed a certain facet of Rama. A Rama which poured emotion initially. A Rama which gathered, which understood that life has ups and downs. That one has to handle nonsense in life. That one has to be steadfast in certain things. One should have clarity of thought and purpose. Existential thinking has to come. It will solve all that facet of Rama we saw in Ayodhya. In Aranya Kanda, we see a Rama which is ferocious. Rama who says that when it comes to it, goodness must assert. If goodness cannot assert, then it becomes unsustainable. Dharma is what? Dharyate dharma, ahuhu. Dharmo, dharana dharma ityahuhu, dharmo dharyate jagat, dharyate jagat is what in Karna Parva, Mahabharata, Krishna says, definition. Dharana dharma ityahuhu, that which has the ability to behold and support. Today we use the word sustainability. Dharma is one which is actually sustainability. Dharmo dharayate jagat. So when dharma has to be established, Rama knew that he has to be ferocious. You have to show the criminal side of yourself. For that, finish them without any daya, dakshinya, kill them. That is the portrayal of Rama that you see in Aranya Kanda. In Kishkinda Kanda, you will see a different portrayal of Rama. That's another facet of Rama which you will see. Kishkinda Kanda is all about the value of friendship. In life, much of what happens to us to a large, Adi Shankaracharya in a very different way, he says, Sasangatve Nisangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivan Muktihi. I mean, he put it in a very philosophical and a spiritual dimension also. But I think one of the good things that must happen, now I was talking to one Swamiji, because I must narrate this. I was in Chennai last week. I had to meet a couple of Swamijis for a discussion. So after all the discussion was over, we were just, at the end, we're casually a little bit talking. So he was narrating. I was saying something, then when he replied, he said, Mahadevanji, 25 years back, I was, 20 of us were going in the bike near Yamunotri. He was narrating. We were going near Yamunotri, and he said, I alone crossed. And there was landslide. So he said, I was on this side, and it so happened I crossed, and then it happened like that. So I knew for sure that for 3 hours, 4 hours, I'll have to wait, because it takes 2, 3. It was not a very huge landslide, but definitely a landslide which has completely stopped the traffic, perhaps. He said, I was here. He was narrating. I was here. I was just sitting there. And we were actually on a bike going. So there was from nowhere, from there, one very old, he said he was an Avaduta. More or less, I think he's an Avaduta. Old person came and saw me. He was very hungry. He had had food for so many days, perhaps. He was very bright and all that, but he asked me, do you have something, give me. Like that he asked. Very man, shining with he said, I had some fruits, a couple of fruits, and I had some 50 rupees, 100 rupees, something in my packet. I gave it to him. The Swamiji was telling me, he was a brahmachari at that time. He had to take sannyas at that time. So whatever I had, I gave it to him. So that Avaduta took that, and apparently he said only one sentence. He said, in life, let you have only satsanga, no dusanga. That's all he said. He was mentioning that to me. He said, in life, you must let you be blessed with only satsanga. No dusanga for you. And then he went away. That's all he said. Then, we were actually discussing something in that context, this satsanga and all came. Then he said, I understood what he said after so many years. So, that is, in a way, that is being expressed in Kishkinda Kanda in one way. That sometimes what happens to you in life is a function of what kind of company that you got. This satsanga is very close to my heart. It allows me to think at least for an hour once in a week, maybe a few hours before that, on things. So I think we will see Rama in a different sort of a lens in Kishkinda Kanda. Sundarakanda, we will see 2 very beautiful characters, Hanuman and Sita. Rama will not see. But certainly we will see Hanuman and Sita, wonderful characters, the way Valmiki has portrayed. That comes in Sundarakanda. But next week we will see the executive summary of Kishkinda. Because first, I think another maybe 15, 18 slokas or whatever that we will see in the next time when we meet. I think with this we will do the Mangala Shloka and then we will stop. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini deshoyam kshobarahito brahmana santu nirbhayah aputra putrinas santu pautrinah adhana sadhana santu jivantu sharadam shatam shrinvan ramayanam bhaktya yappadam padame bhava sayati brahmanastanam brahmana pujyate sada harihi om.